Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Monday Motivation. I'm your host, Daniel Krakowski, joined, as always, by the visionary, Goran Vasovic.
Oh, man, thanks. I like the compliments. Keep them coming.
And we're with two other bright young minds, the other visionary, the brains behind VSM Real Estate, we'll say, Ryan Schroeder.
Hello.
And the incomparable...
Not a visionary.
Wow.
No,
use his hashtag.
What is your hashtag, Jackson?
Hashtag Action Jackson.
Hashtag Action Jackson.
Classic Property Services, all social media.
Yes, the intern with tenure. He's been around longer. He's teaching Isaac the ropes. So very happy to have you here.
The oldest intern we have, too.
Well,
Billy.
Yeah, that's fair. So what I wanted to talk today is go into, for motivation, just something else that we can draw from, and something that I've started doing a lot more as of late. And part of the reason why Ryan is here is I wanted to talk about looking the part. And I'm seeing the smile on his face right now because
It's like a concerning look.
Is this a failed insult?
No.
What is this guy doing?
Right. So, everyone's heard that old adage where, dress for the job that you want, not for the job that you have. And in today's society, very, very few people do it. I was listening to another podcast, and they were interviewing Guy Ritchie, and he made a really interesting point.
He's a director.
Yeah, director of Snatch, a few other. Yep, exactly.
He was married to Madonna, too, at some point.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And
So was everyone, but...
It was his turn.
Yeah, it was his turn. So what he was pointing out was a lot of times the uniform that we wear to work, the suit, if you will, tends to be more of an obligation that we have to put on, and there's no real care behind it. And he goes back and talks about, 100 years ago, the reason the people wearing suits, the people who are putting those on, are picking out each article of clothing. And, what's that movie where Harvey Keitel's getting dressed and putting a suit on and getting ready to go out? And it's just creating a ton of atmosphere, environment. Like, have you ever seen those movies where, it's like them fastening the bow tie? And,
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
That happened in recent movie John Wick.
Yeah.
John Wick, when he was actually putting an entire suit along with weapons, and that was like a whole scene itself. It was pretty cool.
I think I've seen it with Will Smith doing that, too, in other movies, and looking fresh to death after the end, and slow motion, walk out to the Ferrari.
John Wick is the fact that he had all these guns on.
That's way more gangster.
Yeah, so if that's the job you want, is to be some sort of assassin, then that's absolutely part of your outfit and something you should consider.
I had one more thing to say about
John sorry.
Wick.
Continue. This is the John Wick Hour. We're starting a Keanu Reeves themed podcast starring Goran.
No, the Taylor was like, what kind of suit do you want? He was like, tactical. I was like, damn, I want to say that.
But regardless, whenever you see that, I think all of us get that feeling a little bit of like, there is some feeling of motivation, some sense of, you put on the right outfit and it does get you fired up and ready to take on the day.
Absolutely. I have to agree. And we kind of all are dressed differently and somewhat. And no one is wearing a suit. We have, I'm wearing a button up. So is Ryan, Jackson. However, you're wearing a T-shirt. Not just any T-shirt. It's a T-shirt with a purpose.
Purpose over profit. # join the movement.
And where I was getting is I think a lot of people associate that, how you dress and you have to be in a 3-piece suit, right? But I think, with the right, outfit and even a T-shirt, you can still have that extra oomph that you need to just kill it, which is why I think you're wearing that shirt.
Yeah, I'm super fired up about the campaign, what we're putting out there into the world about, what our purpose is and what we're trying to accomplish in business, not just for us, but for other companies as well. We fortunate enough to just hang out with a bunch of the mayoral candidates in St. Paul. And, a lot of what they were talking about was how do we build jobs? How do we improve the economy here? And I think all of us in unison were like, we're doing that. That's what we're actively trying to do, and we're accomplishing it as opposed to just talking about it. And, it feels good to think about it on a bigger scale.
Right. So do you have is there a difference between you when you wore a suit the other day and now that you're wearing a t-shirt, but it's not just any shirt? Does that matter? Do people need to really just dress in a 3-piece suit all the time in order to get that success?
Well, I personally dress every day depending on who I'm going to be meeting and interacting with. If I'm going out and looking at a farm, for example, or someone who's got a lot of land, someone who tends to think more casually.
You got your overalls on, you got your boots
I
on.
do, yeah, exactly. No shoes, no boots. But, I think it's good, and there's times where it's completely impractical. Like if I'm going to the gym, I'm obviously not going to wear a suit. You got to dress for the occasion at hand.
Right. I think that's true. And a lot of people say, well, you have to kind of, dress to impress, all the time. And it depends what industry you're in and what type of job you have. And I think with us, being in real estate, every day is going to be different. And no, you can't wear a 3-piece suit every day. You have to be comfortable because sometimes you're in the field, you're talking to different customers. So I think dressing for the occasion is the right way to go. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree as far as dressing for the occasion. I recall about 2 weeks ago, we had a CE class, and I knew that there was going to be about 10 people from VSM there in a room of 100 plus people. And I wore a suit, the whole get up, because I knew that people were going to notice us because we stand out in a room because we're younger and hipper, and I knew that the teacher was going to call on me because he always does.
Right.
And I wanted to dress to impress and give that impression that we are a professional, cutting edge type company.
Right. No, I mean, I think that's a great way to approach it. And a lot of people, I think about what I'm going to wear the night before for the following day, just because of my schedule. Not that I really dress in, crazy every single day, but I try to, especially if we're doing shoots or we're in the field and we're doing cameras, you can't, you have to really be comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, it doesn't show well on camera. And if you're not comfortable, you don't interact with the person to the best of your abilities. So I think being comfortable is key, but then also know the situation that you're going to be in and with the people you're going to be interacting with.
Yeah, absolutely. And that said, there are definitely times where putting on the power suit with the power tie, you draw from that and you get some energy from it. And, you stand up a little bit taller and you go in and you pitch whatever you're pitching and try and get a deal done. And, the same's true for women as well.
Right.
I know, we all know a lot of very successful women in the business world, like shout out Cindy Coble. She is always dressing to impress, to, create an impression, and it works. Like you immediately when you see her know that, okay, this is a person who's in charge and someone that I should be paying attention to and giving the respect.
Right.
I can think of a story of a couple years ago. I was at the Minneapolis Club, which is a country club in downtown, and I was meeting with my mentor, Scott Everett, and it was a room full of older people, primarily in suits, business people, and I sat down with him and talked to him about trying to raise some money for an investment fund that we were doing at the time. And he stops me about 10 minutes into my speech and he goes, Ryan, I know you have the brains. I know everything that you're saying is right, and I know that you have the skills, but I can't even take you seriously because you're not wearing a suit. He's like, next time I see you, you need to be wearing a suit. Do you notice no one in this room is dressed as casually as you? And it was kind of a slap in the face. I was a little
stop the conversation.
It was a little bit like, staggering, but at the same time, once I got past the feeling a little bit insulted, then I realized that he was right. And I looked around the room, and I was the only one wearing a T-shirt and jeans, and everybody else was wearing a suit and doing business. And it was kind of an eye-opener for me as far as that. And I went out and stepped up my suit game immediately.
Right.
So.
And I think to add to that story is that some people may take that as like, well, who are you to tell me? And it doesn't even matter, what position the other person is. It could have been the other way around, and somebody was like, hey, why aren't you wearing a suit? But now Ryan has learned, hey, if I want to engage in a business conversation that I want it to go a certain way, one of the things that I'm going to do is dress the way this guy perceives it to be the best.
That's the expectation.
Right.
And I can have all the skills and the knowledge, but if I don't look the part, I'm not going to win that business.
Right. No,
there's a barrier at the beginning that you have to overcome. Mm-hmm. Like, why take that into battle? Why?
What about you, Jackson? Now you're in college. I know the button-up shirt is it's a stretch for you.
It's a step. I wear sweatpants shorts to most of my classes, so
Gross.
Is it because everyone else is doing it? Or?
Well, it is, and going off of actually what Ryan was saying, I thought the first time I actually met Dario, when I came and met him in this office, I came in a 3-piece suit, and I don't wear 3-piece suits ever, but it was because I knew I had to overcome the barrier. Because if I showed up in this or a bro tank, he probably wouldn't let me in the door again.
You're absolutely right.
Exactly. The guns are intimidating. Yeah. But yeah, no, when I show up in that suit, I feel like I overcame that barrier. And he even said in the interview, he was like, hey, like, when you come back in the office, you can dress a lot more casual. A button-up's fine here. And
right.
And like that.
That's another great example, is that he was letting how he would like to get, as far as engagement. So he was like, hey, you don't have to dress in a 3-piece suit versus
Exactly.
Ryan's mentor. He's like, hey, I like if you were wearing a suit, it would make our interaction much better. So I think, again, it's feedback that is important to take in and actually use to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we don't think about it as much as we do, but, our clothes are such a social aspect, and, it's the way you're approaching. It's the first thing someone sees out of you. So, if I came in again wearing shorts in here, people would kind of give me a second look. And
I 100% agree.
Exactly.
It's a lot of times it's a sign of respect. And,
yes.
If you show up in a suit, I think you in particular, Jackson, when you did, it showed Dario that, hey, I'm serious about this. I'm trying to put my best foot forward and really make an impression on you. And it did. And that's awesome. And that's really what you need to do. I kind of liken it to, if you're the one receiving value, if you're the one selling, essentially, the onus is on you a lot more to dress up, to put that on. I'd liken it almost to, where you're meeting. So if I'm pitching Ryan on something, I'm not going to say, hey, swing out my way, and we'll have a conversation about it. I say, hey, let me come to you, and what's convenient for you, and I'll give you this information. Same thing. If I'm trying to meet with Ryan, I'm going to dress in a way that is going to make him feel comfortable and make him feel respected, so that from the beginning, we're not trying to overcome some giant disparity in our wardrobe, right? Because there is some social stigma that goes along with it.
I think that goes to speak to another point, which is when I used to go and meet people in their home in the capacity of earning their management or brokerage business, I would not wear a suit, because by and large, I was meeting people in the evening after they got home from work, after they had dinner, they were trying to unwind. I didn't want to come in there in a suit looking like I was some, Wall Street businessman, kind of off-putting meeting, because we're meeting at their kitchen table.
Right.
So I would actually wear more of a button-up and jeans so that I seemed, professional enough, but not so casual that I was off-putting the other way. So
yeah, and I bet that they appreciated that, and that helped you garner a lot of the business.
Yeah. More the everyday man look for that situation.
So next time, Jackson, when you go back to school in a couple months, are you going to do the whole sweatpants thing, or are you going to set the precedence?
Well, if I have an 8 a.m., I'm still doing sweat shorts. So that's how that's...
Sweat short, not even sweatpants?
No, it's sweat shorts. They cut off at the knee.
Oh, my goodness.
At least they're the knee.
All right.
Well, we'll end on that beautiful mental picture for everybody. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week.